rte.ie. Our panel of experts are going to try and answer as many of them between now and 9 o'clock, and then online on RTE News Now, Twitter and Facebook after 9 o'clock. Nuala O'Connor is here. She's a GP. Professor Mary Horgan is President of the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland. And we're also joined by Kingston Mills, who's a Professor of Experimental Immunology at Trinity College in Dublin. Kingston, a very good morning to you, and thank you for taking our call this morning. We were talking actually to another Professor in Virology at Queen's University earlier in the programme, who was talking about the concern now about the number of people who could spread the disease when they're asymptomatic. And a lot of people were asking how they spread it if they're asymptomatic. Is it still that they would need to cough or sneeze close to you, or how are they spreading it?
Yes, there have been a number of studies now that have shown that people can spread it when they're asymptomatic. So the incubation period of the virus is on average 5 days, but it can be anything from 2 to 14 days. So somebody can be infected and not show any symptoms, but they can at that stage transmit it, even though the virus load is not particularly high. If people cough all the time, even if they don't have COVID-19 or other respiratory, just a tickle in their throat, so that sends out an aerosol, and those droplets, if the person is infected, can be infectious. And the other thing is that the virus is in saliva. So if you get if you put your hand to your mouth and you're infected, even if it's asymptomatic, you can then put that on another surface and somebody else can touch it and put it in their mouth. So those are the possible routes of transmission from asymptomatics.
A question here that this covers many of those, where somebody had asked, can you please explain shedding of the virus when not symptomatic? And I know you've addressed some of that there. If you're not coughing or sneezing and no droplets, is it possible to shed by just breathing? I have a son with cystic fibrosis. We're being extra careful for his sake, but I don't know if everything we're doing is enough.
No, breathing is not going to spread the virus. It's really by droplet. But the most common route of transmission of all respiratory pathogens is by aerosol, by droplets that you create when you cough and sneeze. So being in the same room as someone who's breathing is not going to transmit the virus.
People asking who are out exercising at the moment, and although they're trying to keep their distance from people, for example, the presence of droplets in the air and how long they might be in the air, if you passed by them, could you still catch them? We had a couple of questions from runners, for example, who were asking if they ran into suspended particles a few minutes later after passing somebody, could they catch it that way?
Well, first of all, outdoor is a better place to be from the point of view of transmission than indoor, because the air is changing all the time. But there have been studies done that have looked indoor at the transmission and how long the virus remains in the air after someone coughs and sneezes, and it can remain for a couple of hours in the air, but and indeed on surfaces. So if someone coughs onto a surface, there have been studies that show that it can remain on plastic and stainless steel for up to 2 days, which is unusual for viruses because most viruses die very quickly outside the body. Mind you, the amount of virus that is surviving is tiny, so the risks of transmission through that route are very, very small. The major risk is immediately breathing in droplets from someone who has sneezed and coughed in your vicinity. So that's the biggest risk. The risks of outrunning with somebody, that's infinitesimally small. Really, it is.
Kingston, lots of people asking questions about how long the virus can last on surfaces, even as our movements become more restricted. For example, one of the last measures that people are being allowed to do in Spain and Italy is to go out and shop, for example, for groceries, for pharmacies. When people bring their groceries home, should they be cleaned? Can the virus last on those groceries?
This is a very good question. It's one that I've been debating myself when my wife and I go shopping. But I think again it comes back to do with the extent of the risk. I think the extent of the risk of picking up something from shopping is very, very small. I mean, even see in our local bakery, they handle everything with tongs or gloves, and I think if you're sensible and perhaps use gloves that if you are going shopping and then either dispose of them as they're disposable or take them off, but importantly, very importantly, wash your hands. People have said maybe they should wash the the wrappings on them. I mean, my advice would use your gloves, take off the wrapping, and dispose of them, and then everything should be fine. But quite frankly, these are small risks compared with the risks of being in contact with someone that's infectious. So that's a far more important message to get across. And it comes back to what Nuala and Mary were saying. You know, it really is about distancing yourself from potential people that are potentially infected, rather than worrying about picking it up from shopping and from outdoor activity where the risks are so much smaller than they are picking it up from somebody who's infected.
Mary Horgan, a question here. If you've had the virus and recovered but hadn't been tested, would you know if you had the virus if you were tested at some stage? Can you get it more than once?
A really good question. The evidence from China suggests that once you've had it, you do not get reinfected, which is good news. Now, we don't know how long that immunity or protection lasts. There is a test that's different from the test that we're doing now. It's looking for antibodies that the body produces against the virus. So those tests will be more widely available. So you can check people's blood to see if they have developed the antibody and that it's there. But I would caution that we do need more information on the robustness of the immunity after getting an infection.
Because in order to bring life back to any level of normality, we are going to need people who have recovered to be available to work, for example, particularly in the healthcare sector.
Absolutely, and these new tests, these antibody tests, will be really crucial for our frontline doctors, our trainees, our consultants, our nurses, to see if they're immune to the virus. And I have no doubt in the coming weeks that antibody test will be more available to those frontline staff who are particularly at risk of getting infection. And we absolutely need to protect those frontline staff. And just to add that the social distancing measures that us as the public and the people of Ireland are doing have been hugely welcomed by the frontline staff.
Mary Horgan, Nuala O'Connor, Kingston Mill, stay with us. We've got a lot more questions to get through, and we're going to get through as many of them as we can, and we're going to do it after 9 o'clock. Stay tuned with us on RTE News Now, on Facebook and on Twitter. Listeners on RTE Radio 1 will be leaving us soon. It's 2 minutes to 9.